Campbell, Commanding General of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault and Fort Campbell, and the soldiers of the 3rd Brigade Combat Team Rakistan. Welcome to our Brigade Change of Command. This morning, Colonel Viet Luong relinquishes command of the Rakistan Brigade to Colonel R.J. Lillibridge. At this time, we would like to extend a sincere welcome to our distinguished guests. Mr. William Harpel, civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army for Tennessee East and 2010 champion of Fort Campbell. Mrs. T.C. Freeman, civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army for Kentucky Central and 2010 champion of Fort Campbell, and Colonel Bob Freeman, U.S. Army retired and champion of Fort Campbell. Major General John F. Campbell, Commanding General, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault and Fort Campbell, and Mrs. Campbell. Major General Robert Dees, U.S. Army retired. Brigadier General Warren E. Fitz, Deputy Commanding General for Support, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, and Mrs. Fitz. Brigadier General Steve Townsend, Deputy Commanding General for Operations, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, and Mrs. Townsend. Brigadier General Jeffrey N. Colt, Deputy Commanding General, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, and Nancy Colt. Command Sergeant Major Wayne St. Louis, Command Sergeant Major Rear, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Colonel Ted the Wild Turkey Crozier, U.S. Army retired and 2010 champion of Fort Campbell. Mr. Phil Harpel, 2010 champion of Fort Campbell. Colonel Pete Johnson, Chief of Staff, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, and Mrs. Johnson. And Command Sergeant Major James E. Musgrove, U.S. Army retired. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation given by Chaplain Faking, the Brigade Chaplain.
I invite you to pray with me. Father, you are the author and giver of life, and from your gracious hand flows freedom, justice, and liberty that our nation enjoys through the sacrificial service of the men and women of our armed forces, through the service of Rakistans. Father, I thank you for the sons and daughters of our nation standing on this parade field today. I thank you for the Rakistans and the remarkable blessing they are for the cause of freedom. I thank you for the leaders you have raised up to serve this great regiment. And this morning we are formed to see the colors passed from one skillful warrior to another. Thank you for Colonel Luong, his passionate love of freedom expressed in wholehearted service to our nation. His fearless leadership and passionate care for soldiers and their families is a testimony of love to country and joyful devotion to duty. This morning we give you glory for the honors received, victories realized, and valor sustained through his time as Rock 6. We also thank you for Kim, whose loving kindness has been a source of encouragement and inspiration to us while here at home, and Father, more importantly, to our families while we were deployed. Lord, go before the Luong family as they head to Stanford. May this coming year be a time of rest, recreation, and preparation for continued service to our nation for the glory of your name. Lord, I pray for Colonel Lillibridge. Pour your spirit upon him and grant him the ability to lead this great brigade to victory in every mission our nation calls us to complete. Strengthen his heart, deepen his love for the good, and grant him wisdom so that valor will not fail. May you bless the Lillibridge family with love, peace, and great joy throughout this time of command. Father, I pray for us as Rakistans. May your love empower us to fearlessly and faithfully serve our families, care for one another, and continue to defend the freedom of our great nation as we follow our new commander. Lord, I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please be seated. In a moment, you will hear sound attention. This is a call of alarm, at which time troops turn out under arms and it officially begins the ceremony. taking their positions on the field is the commander of troops for today's airmen and the brigade staff. The commander of troops is Major Ryan Seagrave, the brigade executive officer.
Right. All right.
Bring your units to order arm! Iron rockets on! Order! Arm! More rockets on! Order! Arm! Midnight rockets on! Order! Arm! Untarget rockets on! Order! Arm! Rockets on the rockets on! Order! Arm!
Now approaching from the left is our reviewing party, consisting of Colonel Viet Luong, the outgoing commander, and Colonel R.J. Lillibridge, the incoming commander.
Bring your units to present arms! Iron rockets on! Present! Arms! More rockets on! Present! Arms! Midnight rockets on! Present! Arms! Untarget rockets on! Present! Arms! Rockets on the rockets on! Present! Arms! Staff, present! Arms!
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for honor to Major General Campbell. will make one final inspection of the brigade to ensure that the unit is in good order and discipline before relinquishing command to Colonel Lillibridge.
Sir, brigade is prepared for inspection.
The 187th Infantry Regiment was constituted on November 12, 1942 at CAMPBELL, North Carolina. On February 25, 1943, it was activated as a glider infantry regiment of the 11th Airborne Division. Its first mission was to help convince the War Department that an airborne division could fly over water on instruments at night to drop a target with minimal casualties, then wage sustained operations while being resupplied entirely by air. On 6 December 1943, the division's training landings were perfectly executed, and the effectiveness of the Airborne Division concept convinced the War Department to create other airborne divisions. In May of 1944, the regiment deployed to the Southwest Pacific, and on the night of December 6, 1944, was attacked by the Japanese 3rd Parachute Regiment. The rocket bombs repelled the enemy force and 3 months later seized Riva Airfield on Luzon. The 187th fought continuously until January 1945 on Leyte and suffered heavy casualties taking Purple Heart Hill. As instructions say, the regiment performed a para-amphibious assault and fought their way into the jungle to Tagaday Ridge. They also captured Fort McKinley in the 11th Airborne Division in Manila and conquered the heavily defended Mount White. At 1 a.m. on August 30, 1945, the first plane carrying 187 soldiers left for Askewee Airfield. This meant the Rocketons were the first foreign troops to enter the team in 2,000 years. While serving as a part of American occupation force, the Japanese gave the paratroopers of the 187th Infantry Regiment the nickname Rocketons, which loosely translated means falling umbrella. For service during World War II, the regiment was awarded a Presidential Unit Citation and a Philippine Presidential Unit Citation. On August 27, 1950, the 187th Airborne Infantry Regiment was reorganized and redesignated as the 187th Airborne Regimental Combat Team. In September 1950, elements of the 187th exploited the success of the Incheon landing, clearing the Tinpole Peninsula between the Han River and the Yellow Sea. The Rocketons' airborne successes in Korea convinced the Pentagon to reactivate the 18th Airborne Corps at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. For service during the Korean War, the regiment earned a presidential unit citation, two Korean presidential unit citations, and 5 campaign premiums. On December 13, 1967, 187th Infantry Regiment reported for duty in the Republic of Vietnam. For service during the Vietnam War, the regiment earned 2 presidential unit citations, 2 Valorous Unit Awards, a meritorious unit commendation, 1 Vietnamese merit citation, as well as 12 campaign premiums. In September of 1990, the Rocketons began deploying to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia during Operation Desert Shield. On February 25, 1991, the Rocketons conducted the largest and deepest air assault operation at the time. In the ongoing war on terrorism, the Rocketons went to Afghanistan to conduct operations against the Taliban forces. Only months after their return, the soldiers of the 187th Infantry deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom in February of 2003 to Southwest Asia to help topple Saddam Hussein's regime. Elements of the regiment pushed into Baghdad with the 3rd Infantry Division, liberating yet another enemy capital city. The Rocketons continued to conduct operations against guerrilla forces along the Syrian border and in the Secret Triangle region of Iraq. During Operation Former in March of 2006, the brigade conducted the largest air assault operation since the initial ground invasion. In June of 2008, 4 months prior to the unit's scheduled redeployment, plans were announced to transition the battlefield to the control of the Iraqi army instead of being replaced by other U.S. forces. The 3rd Brigade Combat Team has recently redeployed from its 2nd tour in Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. The Rocketons' most recent rendezvous with destiny adds another chapter to our storied regimental lineage as adaptable warfighters who can win no matter where our nation calls us to serve, continuing in the proud tradition of their predecessors. The 187th Infantry Regiment is the only airborne regiment in the history of the United States Army to fight in every war since the inception of airborne tactics. From gliders to parachutes to helicopters, the Rocketons have entered combat in each mode of airborne warfare, pioneering its implementation. Throughout their history, the Rocketons have upheld their motto, "Let valor not fail."
Bring your units to attention! I'm Rocketson! Attention! All Rocketson! Attention! Attention, Rocketson! Attention! Attention, Rocketson! Attention! Rocketson! Attention! Officers and colors! Center! March! Detachment! Forward! March! Mark time! March! Detachment! Halt! Sir, the officers and colors are present. Present the command. Bring your units to present arms! Leader Rocketson, present arms! I'm Rocketson, present arms! War Rocketson, present arms! Red Knight Rocketson, present arms! Detachment! Present!
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for honors to the nation. The change of command is a simple yet traditional event that is rich with symbolism and heritage. Key to the ceremony is the passing of the colors. They represent not only the lineage and honors of the unit, but also the loyalty and unity of the soldiers. The unit's colors are the commander's symbol of authority, representing his responsibility to the organization. Wherever the commander is, there are also the colors. The custodian of the colors is Command Sergeant Major Eric Patrick, the senior enlisted soldier in the unit and principal advisor to the commander. The passing of the colors symbolizes the transfer of command, responsibility, and authority from the old commander to the new, demonstrating to the soldiers of the unit that Colonel Viet has passed the mantle of leadership to Colonel Lillibridge, and with this, passed the loyalty of the soldiers. By authority of paragraph 3-3 Alpha, Army Regulation 600-20, the undersigned assumes command of the 3rd Brigade Combat Team Pakistan, 101st Airborne Division Aerosol, effective 17 June 2011. Signed, R.J. Lillibridge, Colonel, Infantry, Commander. Sergeant Major Patrick will now return the colors to the color bearer, who exemplifies the high standards of discipline, conduct, and military expertise that go with the responsibility of bearing the flag that represents so much to his fellow soldiers. The color bearer for today's ceremony is Specialist James Turberville. At this time, the honorary colonel of the regiment, Major General retired Robert F. Hughes, and honorary Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major retired James E. Musgrove, will now take the honorary position to pass the regimental color. The purpose of the United States Army regimental system is to enhance combat effectiveness through a framework that provides the opportunity for affiliation, develops loyalty and commitment, fosters an extended sense of belonging, improves unit esprit de corps, and institutionalizes the warfighting ethos. The honorary colonel and sergeant major of the regiment perpetuates the history and traditions of this great regiment.
Detachment! Parade! Press!
At this time, Specialist Nicholas Robinson, a Silver Star recipient for valiant actions in Afghanistan, will present the bouquet of red roses to Colonel Viet's wife, Kim, from the officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers of the brigade for her dedicated service as the First Lady of the Pakistan family. Brigade NCO of the Year will present a bouquet of yellow roses to Colonel Lillibridge's wife, Georgia, from the officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers of the brigade, welcoming her into the Rakistan family. Also, a single yellow rose is being presented to his daughter, Shelby, and a 187th patch to his son, Brady. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault and Fort Campbell, Major General John F. Campbell.
All right, good morning. It's a great, great day. Let me extend a screaming eagle welcome to all of you. The voice has already mentioned our distinguished guests, so I won't repeat all those names, but thank you for your continued support of the Rakistans and the 101st Airborne Division here. We do appreciate your continued support of our soldiers and their families as well, and especially of our Rakistans. I'd like to recognize Kim, the ex-wife, and their children, Ashley, Brandon, and Justin. Thank you very much. It's been great to have this wonderful family and the command team here all together today. And for RJ, his family, it's great to have Georgia, your wife, and your children, Shelby and Braden, parents, Reynolds and Debbie Lillibridge, and Georgia's parents, Stanley and Juanita Goodman. Thank you very much to share in the special day with RJ and the rest of the Rakistans. It's great to have you here. To the commanders, command sergeants, majors, all the soldiers, family members of the Rakistans, welcome to today's change of command ceremony. A few words can adequately sum up the measure that these two men here standing here today mean to the Rakistans, to the 101st, and to the Army. They've given more than 4 decades of service to our country between the both of them. They spent over 9+ years deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like all of you, they have lost precious time with their friends and family as they've devoted themselves these last years to a cause greater than themselves. They have borne the burdens of command, and they have braved with you as brave men and women in our ranks have given the last full measure of devotion. As much as the ceremony is about the honoring of Colonels Luong and Lillibridge, I'm confident they will be the first to say that today does not belong to them. It belongs to all the Rakistans who have served and continue to serve here, whose bravery, courage, and commitment are unmatched in modern times, whose valor has been tested on foreign stands and forged in the flames of battle. All of the Rakistans have volunteered to put their lives in harm's way for the good of our nation. And in the last year, in Afghanistan, you have succeeded beyond our imagination. To paraphrase General Douglas MacArthur, you have built courage when courage seemed to fail, regained faith when there seemed to be little cause for faith, and created hope when hope had become forlorn. The great beneficiaries of that hope have been the Afghan citizens who now have a chance to build a peaceful and prosperous future. You have the eternal gratitude of the American people. What we have witnessed here today is a time-honored tradition of the changing of command, a ceremony that marks the passage of responsibility and trust from one leader to another. And today we honor a magnificent leader, a commander who followed that timeless creed of mission first, soldiers always. He followed that creed to success in combat. When you talk to soldiers about Viet Luong, you hear about the powerful impacts of his leadership and about the confidence that stems from the exacting standards that he maintained. And you hear about the absolute trust that comes from his coolness under fire. Viet took command of the Rakistans 28 months ago, in February 2009, and began preparation for the brigade's most recent rendezvous with destiny in Afghanistan. This preparation was thorough, and what was really unique about this rendezvous with destiny is that the entire division deployed to Afghanistan. But the Rakistans led the way. They were the first brigade into the training cycle, and they set the groundwork for the other brigades. The Rakistans quickly developed into the cohesive fighting force that you see here in front of you today. And then in February of last year, the Rakistans deployed to Afghanistan for the 5th combat deployment of the war, leading the way as the Army's most deployed combat brigade. The Rakistans assumed responsibility for Paktia, Paktika, and host provinces, and also the districts of Dayak and Andar in eastern Gaza. The Rakistans even managed to take the fight Regional Command South. As Task Force leader, conducted combat operations in the Horn of Tangiway with the Strike Brigade as part of Operation Amkari. Throughout the deployment of the Rakkasans, they added to their proud legacy by living up to their motto, "Let valor not fail." The Rakkasans took the fight to the enemy, killing or capturing over 2,200 enemy insurgents, including more than 170 high-value targets. They captured nearly 200 caches and found and destroyed over 700 IEDs. In March of 2010, only days after assuming control of AO Rakkasan, combat outpost Marga in Paktika province came under a deadly and complex attack. The enemy led with a 1,000-pound truck bomb, a V-bid, which breached the main gate and was supported by heavy volumes of accurate mortar fire. Staff Sergeant Barber, completely exposing himself to enemy fire, climbed to a rooftop to man a heavy machine gun after the gunner was wounded. Sergeant Barber put accurate and effective fires on the enemy mortar teams, suppressing them long enough to allow the Apaches to arrive on station and destroy over 20 fighters. Staff Sergeant Barber's and his fellow Rakkasans' valor did not fail. In May of last year, the Rakkasans and their Afghan Border Patrol partners came under an intense attack at the 5th ABP compound in Orgun, Paktika. The insurgents assaulted with a hail of enemy fire and tried to run a 500-pound truck bomb onto the base. 3 Rakkasans stopped it outside the gate, where it detonated. The insurgents kept coming, wearing suicide vests, and the Rakkasans kept fighting. Wounded and out of ammo, they took up the ABP weapons and kept fighting, not only stopping the attack, but also turning the tide against the enemy. That day, Specialist Daniel Foster, PFC, Nicholas Robinson both earned the Silver Star, and the Rakkasans' valor did not fail. In August, when the insurgents tried to attack Fort Operating Base Salerno, the FOB, the brigade headquarters was on. Task Force Rakkasans and the other units at the FOB rose to the occasion. They endured accurate indirect and direct fires, interdicted 2 truck bombs, repulsed a determined ground assault, and was all over 47 enemy lay dead, 15 of them wearing suicide vests. In their combat operations, the Rakkasans earned more than 150 awards for bravery and valor. Let valor not fail. The Rakkasans increased the capability and capacity of the Afghan National Security Forces, establishing a superb partnership with the Uniformed and Border Police and the 1st Brigade of the 203rd Afghan National Army Brigade. They conducted combined operations with their brothers in arms, increasing their capabilities and effectiveness, working Shona by Shona, shoulder to shoulder with the ANSF to improve security for the Afghan people. With the help of their PRTs, the Provincial Reconstruction Teams, the ADTs, the Agricultural Business Development Teams, civilian partners, the Rakkasans also improved the governance and development across the area of operations. During their deployment, they generated over 300 projects worth more than $60 million. The Rakkasans also supported more than $300 million in USAID projects, helping to improve roads, schools, medical facilities, power and water systems. They also helped secure the significant progress on the KG Road, the vital economic corridor running between Host and Gardez. All of the successes, though, did not come without cost. 17 Rakkasans gave their lives in this deployment. More than 350 were wounded. We must always remember and honor our fallen screaming eagles and our wounded warriors and their families who have sacrificed so much. The sacrifice to make the people of Afghanistan, our American citizens, and truly the world more secure and a better place for the future generations. Yet, well done. You and your Rakkasans have added a chapter to an incredible legacy, and you have established a tremendous reputation for yourself and for the Rakkasans. I wish you the best of luck as you transition to your next assignment, a fellowship at Stanford University. They don't know what they have coming there. I know that you will have a great future ahead of you in the Army as one of our great Army senior leaders. To Kim and Ashley, Brandon, and Justin, thank you for your love and support of your dad, and thank you for the support you gave him as a soldier so that he could lead this great brigade. Kim, thank you for your selfless dedication to the families of the Rakkasans. We will always be in your debt. As the Rakkasans farewell one great commander, they welcome another into their ranks. Colonel Luong will be a very tough act to follow, but I believe you are better suited to take that task than Colonel R.J. Lillibridge. R.J., welcome to you and your family. A proven combat warrior, RJ is no stranger to the 101st, having served as a Battalion S3 and as ROC 3, Division Chief of Operations, and the commander of Leader Rakissan's 1st Battalion 187th. With the amount of time he has spent in the Rakissans, there was no one better suited to command the storied Rakissan Brigade. RJ understands that a complex and unpredictable world will demand yet more agility and more resilience from our Rakissans. I know that RJ's wife, Georgia, will provide great support to him and the families of the Rakissans. Georgia, welcome. Command is always a privilege. Command in time of war is a distinct honor. RJ, welcome to the Brigade Command in the 101st. I'm totally confident in your ability to take the helm today. You are the right man at the right time to build on the legacy of this storied brigade and take it to the next level. Trust your gut. You've spent years preparing for this moment. Now you can move out and draw fire. At this time, I would say thanks to the great 101st Division band, but I think, as you know, they're all on block leave, so thanks for the guys punching the button on the tape. You sounded great, and your presence here is always awe-inspiring. Major Seagraves, Command Sergeant Major Crabtree, the soldiers of the Rakissans look magnificent. Rakissans, we're all very proud of you and what you have accomplished. Well done. We look forward to all that you will achieve under Colonel Lillibridge's leadership. God bless our great nation, our soldiers, our families, Rakissans, Army Strong, Air Assault.
Ladies and gentlemen, the outgoing commander, Colonel Viet Luong.
Distinguished guests, friends, and family, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today. As the outgoing commander, the greatest honor I can give to my troops is to keep this speech short. Colonel Campbell, sir, I really sincerely appreciate the leadership and your kind comments. I'll be the first to tell you that everything I have accomplished in my military career has been on the backs and shoulders of my soldiers, so I think it's fitting that we take this time now on this hallowed ground here, this finest hour, to allow me just to singularly recognize the 3,500 gallant Rakissan troopers standing in the field. So please join me in giving them a round of applause. Rakissans, it was an honor and privilege fighting by your sides. Only two remaining things I ask of you, first and foremost, is to give your unwavering loyalty and support to Colonel R.J. Lillibridge, and second is to never forget the sacrifice of our fallen comrades. And in the words of President Lincoln, to these honored dead, do we take an increased devotion to that cause for which they gave their last full measure of devotion. For we here do not allow these dead to be sacrificed in vain, and that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. RJ, I wish you and your family the best of luck. I know you do great things in this task force. It is time for me to simply fade away at Rock 6. God bless the Rakissans. God bless the Screaming Eagles. God bless our great nation. Rakissan, Air Assault.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, Rakissans, Colonel R.J. Lillibridge.
Distinguished guests, friends, families,
Golden Rockasans, especially the veterans of Bravo Company, 2nd and 187th during Desert Storm, who've come from far away to be here today. Thank you for honoring the soldiers to your front with your presence today. I'd like to thank Viet and Kim for the warm welcome and transition they have facilitated for Georgia and I. I'd also like to thank my family, Georgia, Shelby, and Braden, for supporting my desire to continue to serve with soldiers. And I'd like to thank those folks who have traveled from near and far, California, Chicago, and Boston to be here at the Lillibridge today. A good friend once told me you have to leave in order to come back. And 2 years ago, I was pretty bummed not to believe in the Rockasans in Fort Campbell after our short 7-year stint. But I'm humbled to be back today. To the Rockasans, you have my pledge to continue to uphold the reputation and history of this great VCT, regiment, and division, so recently demonstrated on the battlefields of Afghanistan. Thank you for all you have done and all that we can ask of you in the future. Thank you, Rockasans and Air Assault.
Detachment! Post! March! Pass and review. Pass and review!
Now approaching the reviewing stand is the commander of troops and the brigade staff. The commander of troops for today's ceremony is Major Ryan Seegreaves, the brigade executive officer from Allentown, Pennsylvania. The brigade adjutant is Major Tracy Olson from Honolulu, Hawaii. The brigade intelligence officer is Captain Anna Maria Hartwick from Atlanta, Georgia. The brigade operations officer is Major James Upcraft from Bluffton, Indiana. The brigade signal officer is Major Eric Magnus from Ozark, Alabama. Now approaching the reviewing stand is the by Lieutenant Colonel Viet Luong from Benton, Arkansas, and Command Sergeant Major Richard J. Holliday from Charlotte, North Carolina. Now approaching the reviewing stand is the 3rd Battalion, 187th Infantry Iron Pakistan, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel James P. Porter from Brooksville, Florida, and Command Sergeant Major Timothy N. Johnson from Lansing, Michigan. company song. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. We thank you for attending. Colonel and Mrs. Lillibridge invite you to a reception at the Pratt Museum. Colonel and Mrs. Luong will remain in the area for those wishing to extend farewell.
Did you hear that? That was power and catcher. I really thought you couldn't hear in the brain.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to say this and you the voicemail.
All right.
This is serious.
What would you say is the most significant memory that you take from spending time with the 101st the Brigade?
Sure, it was really the time that we've had in combat. You know, one of the most memorable moments was when I think in the midst of combat, you know, during the floods last summer, several of my soldiers risked their lives by jumping from hovering helicopters to save dozens of Afghans. And as they were coming out of the water there, we were flying along the banks. There were hundreds of Afghans clapping and cheering, and I think that was the most profound moment that we've had. You know, in the midst of this very cruel war, to have our soldiers risk their lives to save some Afghans is a phenomenal testament to their courage and their professionalism.
Did you have any words of wisdom for the incoming colonel?
RJ Lillibridge is a fantastic leader, so I wouldn't say that I have any words of wisdom for him, because I know he's going to do a fantastic job. He's going to take great care of our soldiers and go on and do good things. You know.
Sir, what's the fellowship you're going to? What do you hope to accomplish in the next year?
Yeah, my fellowship is at Stanford University. It's under the Spogley Freeman Institute. It's called the Center for International Security and Cooperation, and I hope to be able to, you know, have some intellectual, at least, experience and be able to meet different folks with a diverse viewpoint, and be able to, at least at that level, be able to converse and hopefully write a paper to contribute to, really to the intellectual community or military community overall.
So how does it feel today to relinquish your responsibilities to Colonel Lillibridge?
Well, it's a tough day, but you know, all good things must end. And again, I was proud to be handing it over to RJ Lillibridge, really, because you know, his past combat records and his tremendous leadership. So it's a sad day, but it's a good thing knowing that a great guy is going to come in and take your place, take care of our soldiers.
You're moving a little closer to what is home for you. What are you going to miss about the community here?
This is the most fantastic community. I will miss everything about it because, you know, not to say anything different in my home state. It's just, is just completely different than we are here. You know, the best thing I remember about Fort Campbell is the closeness of the folks around here, and how they treat the military consistently with dignity and respect, and especially when we need it the most during the time of our deployments. The community comes together to take care of our families. That's what's best about Fort Campbell.
Sir, when you took command, did you set goals, and if so, do you feel like you accomplished all the goals that you set for yourself in this command?
I would tell you I've accomplished more goals than I've really set, and I'm, you know, not to be arrogant about it, but my soldiers are the guys that made me who I am today and make those goals possible. So besides some guidance and some direction, you know, everything that I've accomplished has been on the shoulders of my soldiers.
What do you think are the challenges that the brigade's going to be facing over the next few years?
Well, I think right now with the deployment, I think the biggest focus is getting ready for another combat deployment. You know, we have a little bit more time than we had last or 2 years ago. However, time is always a constraint to be able to get to a level of proficiency, to go to combat with, and of course resources and funding and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure that with our great leadership we have here, we're going to get stuff prioritized and get the first unit out the door just like they did us.
Thank you.
Sir, how big an influence was your father on your life and in the course of your career?
Well, tremendous influence. He was, you know, he was my biggest mentor. He was my hero. My dad was an officer in a South Vietnamese Marine, and you know, when it comes to duty, honor, and country, he lived that and exhibited that his entire life. And as an American citizen later on, he upheld those standards, and a lot of those virtues, you know, permeated through all the kids. So I owe a lot to my dad.
If you were to sum up your few years here as Rock 6 in a few sentences, what would you say?
I can sum it up in one word: incredible. It's been an incredible ride, and I've learned so much from the leaders and the men that I've led, and I just hope to be able to give them the requisite leadership to be successful for the rest of their careers.
Anybody else?
No.
All right. Thanks,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
Oh, God bless you guys. Right? You guys take.